Hello, 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 hello. Mama Said It podcast.
Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday. Today is July the 12th, 2026, for another episode of Mama Said It. Come on in, everyone. Come on in as we make our way into this 1 hour to be with you all. How are you doing today, Plum?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm okay. Another day's journey. It's another day's journey, and I'm glad. That used to be back in the day we had this church. Church is still there. God bless Tabernacle Baptist Church. But they used to, my Aunt Maddie Daniels used to sing that song, and they used to stump their feet. I don't know if you remember days of stumping your feet, but they used to stump their
Yeah,
feet.
all they had was an organ and feet and a
Yeah,
tambourine.
that sounded so good. Sounded so good, so good, so good. Come on in, everyone. Come on in. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Mama Said It podcast. We're so happy to be here with you. Before we get started, you know what we normally do. We always want to make sure that our viewers know that we're thinking of them, and we want to wish everyone a happy birthday. Yeah, so happy birthday. We got a few birthday shout outs. I know it's Linda Ross Coleman, cuz your birthday. Shout out to you. Shakira, you have anyone you want to shout out? Happy birthday to? Because I know
Not that I
this
can
is
think of
still
off the top of my head.
Cancer Month, right? Not that you can think of. There's so many people that were born uh, in July. Tomorrow is my nephew Troy's birthday. Rest in peace, Troy. We're thinking of you. We love you. Uh,
Uncle Danny's birthday was this week. I'm not mistaken.
oh,
Uncle
okay.
Danny.
Happy birthday.
Not that I can
Okay, okay. Very good. Happy birthday. Cancers. Um, they are very loyal people. I don't know if you're into astrology. Some people say, don't believe in astrology. That's a sign of the devil. Well, if you know anything, you know that there is some uniqueness about those signs, and some of them have some truth to it. Do you believe in astrology?
When I was younger, I was hooked on it. I won't say necessarily hooked on it, but Sagittarius traits. I do have Sagittarius friends. We kind of are very similar in certain
Okay.
ways of what they would describe, but I kind of don't feed into it anymore. They didn't changed it. They don't, Sagittarius ain't even what you used to, like they changed the dates. So
Yeah.
I don't even, I don't read into it.
Oh, they changed the date. They moved it up or back, I think.
I don't remember, but I know they moved it around. Some people are no longer what they used to be or whatever. I don't know. Something like
Right. Right. Well, I think I'm always be a Leo. I think I'm always be a Leo. I know Peggy Brown from Trenton. Shouting out to you, Peggy Brown. Happy birthday to you. And of course, my boy Calvin. Calvin celebrating a birthday this month as well. So happy birthday to you, Calvin. And those of you that I may not have mentioned, but you're thought of, and we want to wish you a happy birthday. We also want to say a happy anniversary for anyone who is celebrating an anniversary. Happy anniversary, whether it's a wedding anniversary, a retirement anniversary. Um, we want to say happy anniversary to you. We have a lot to cover this afternoon. We want to talk about some hot topics that have been surfacing across the globe, and we want to take the opportunity to discuss the topics and learn from these topics, because I believe there's always something that we can learn from anything that happens, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. There's a lesson behind everything that we encounter. So one of the topics I do want to start off by discussing, and this is a topic that came from none other than our one and only Shakira. She brought this to the forefront, and it's what's really happening to our foods. I mean, I know me and you talk about this, the texture of the foods, the quality of the foods. Um, the foods are not staying fresh as long. It seems like milk is spoiling faster. Even the bread, I've seen some demonstrations of someone who took some bread and wet the bread. They wet the bread, they sold the bread, and the bread bounced back. It didn't rip, didn't tear. That was like, ugh. I think I might have to take a slice of bread and try that to see whether I get that same result. But yes, we want to talk about what's happening to our foods. Have you purchased a watermelon or another food or any type of meat product and that you felt unusually rubbery or unnatural? Shakira, from your standpoint, was there anything that you experienced lately as a result in food products?
Not necessarily that I can. I mean, I know that when you buy stuff from the grocery store, it's different than buying it from Produce Junction or something.
Right, right. Yeah. I think what I've done lately is I'm being more conscious to go to the local meat markets. I mean, the local butchers, shops, and the farmers to buy certain products. Because oftentimes the grocery store may not be the better option to buy your meats or even your vegetables and fruits. So going to your local farmers, and it's very easy to find a local farmer. And the only thing you have to do is Google a farmer in your area, and a list will come up. A list will come up. But I do want to show you a video of someone who's experienced rubbery foods. Just stay tuned for me just 1 second. Let me just pull that up.
Are strawberries supposed to like do that? Look at that. I dug this out of the trash because I wanted to show you guys these strawberries, and they were really squishy and they felt very rubbery. This is the strawberries that I dug out of the trash, and we're always talking about how, oh, the food's different, the food's different. So I bought these at Target the other day. This is the non-organic brand, but I went and grabbed this La Bella Vita, and this is the organic ones that I wasn't paying attention to. I didn't even know it was the same brand. These are hard. I don't feel any squishiness. Okay, let's cut into them. Weird squishy one. Does this consistency look normal? Let's do another one. Like, what is this? This is the new batch that's not squishy. What is this? This looks completely normal. Let's look at this one. What's going on? Here's the comparison. This feels weird to me. Look at this. That's not okay. I need to know if you've experienced this because I did not serve this to my kids today. And yes, these other strawberries are very shiny, but they at least have the consistency of strawberries.
Yeah, I think that's something that we must be aware of. I know that during the World Cup, there were a few countries that shipped their foods here to America because they didn't trust American foods. That says a lot. There's a lot of foods that are banned in China, Korea, in other countries, Russia, but you're able to purchase them and eat them here in America. Strange enough. Then that should not be happening. We all know that. We should not be having it where the foods are the same. Now, in the last 20 years, Shakira, have you noticed, or the last 10 years, have you noticed a difference in the quality of the foods?
Well, yeah, like I said, the grocery store food, it's not the same. Stuff is lasting entirely too long. It's not spoiling. There's no blood in your produce anymore or anything. When you used to buy a pack of chicken and you clean it, you saw blood. Now you don't see no blood at all. You don't see, even when you buy beef, when you buy steak, it's rare. You don't, a lot of stuff, you don't see that stuff anymore.
Yeah, 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 really, exactly. I used to remember seeing that was a sign of freshness. That was a sign of freshness. It even makes me leery about purchasing certain pies and cakes at the grocery store, because once I seen that video where they take the cakes and pies and take them back and unpackage them to repackage them again after they had expired, I'm
Well,
like,
they do that with the fruits, the cut up fruit that you buy in a bowl. They cut up fruit that's about to go bad and then repurpose it and put it on the shelf as sliced fruit because they cut out the mold or whatever and they only put in the slices that are good. Well, whatever, that look presentable.
yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. It's scary. Hey Rita, thanks for joining us, Rita. Thanks for joining us, Rita. We're talking about what's really happening to our foods and the quality of our foods. I know that I bought some milk recently and it went bad quickly. And I'm really not a milk drinker, but sometimes, you just have that taste for some cereal. I don't know, you have the urge for some cereal every once in a while. And the milk went bad real quickly. So it's making me be more conscious of not buying certain foods from certain stores and being very mindful of it. Now, I don't know, collectively, I know there was a group of mothers that were banding together to ban certain cereals like Fruit Loops, had artificial coloring, to remove them off the shelf. So a lot of the, I guess, color red was removed out of some of the products, which, if we come together as a group and band together, we can make a difference. We can make them do better and giving us better products. But if people just complain on social media and don't do anything else, nothing's really going to happen. Nothing's really going to happen. I want to shift gears a little bit and I want to discuss what had transpired regarding the death of the passing of Xavier, Nolan Xavier Wells. Now, this is something that happened July 4th, with which we just celebrated the 250 years of freedom, which our freedom, I feel, is Juneteenth. But July 4th, there was an incident that happened where it was an 18-year-old teen and his life was cut short. Sadly, there's a lot of questions that many people continue to ask as the investigation unfolds. And for me, I think our purpose is not to point fingers or speculate or try to come up with our own theory of what could happen or create any blame on anyone. That's not what we're trying to do. Instead, we want to examine the facts that have been laid out, and we want to, discuss the importance of communication between our children and the safety and accountability and things you should do and shouldn't do and decision makings, and explore families, um, to give us a different point of view of what we should be doing as parents. Because I know that the young people should always have a plan before going out. And some parents may not sit down with them to give them some rules and regulations and guidelines of what they should and should not do. Now, staying connected to trusted adults, for an example, making sure they be in line with their instincts when something doesn't feel right. And some children may not even know what that is. And speaking with your children to express what those feelings feel like is very important. So I want to share a video. I want to share a few videos actually, and then we can kind of dive into what I feel should be discussed. And of course, I would love to hear your opinion and our co-host's opinion about this as well. The death of Nolan Xavier Wells, the questions that deserve answers. What can families learn while the investigation continues? So the first video that I'm going to share is one where Nolan parents are talking. Stay tuned.
You realize that something might not be right?
Honestly, I kind of figured he was just staying another night, which again is not uncommon with his friends, you know.
On Saturday.
Yeah, especially if, you know, it was the 4th of July. All the kids were kind of, you know, some of them were getting ready to go back, especially the young boys who played sports. So this was their last weekend. So we just kind of figured, hey, he's with his friends, he's back on land. But typically Nolan he does a good job of communicating. So that was just, whenever we got the call, just, I saw his friend's name and my heart just dropped.
Which friend was it?
So this was Warren that called, that
Warren
made the phone
Cole.
call, which, you know, and he did say, hey, you know, Miss Christine, you know, I guess trying to calm the parent in me, but, you know, you can't calm that. You know, you tell me my child is missing.
Do you remember his words? What did he say?
He said, hey, Miss Christine, have you seen Nolan or talked to Nolan? I said, no, I thought he was with you guys, you know. He's like, no, nobody's talked to him. We left the island at, I think he said 3 p.m. and he wanted to stay because he was talking to a girl named Katie. And so then it turned into, you know, Katie is also missing. No one can find her. And the explanation of no one knows this Katie, like we've never met her type of deal.
At what point did you?
So there's this Katie that's involved. Apparently no one knows who this Katie person is. So there's a lot of unanswered questions that we still don't have answers to, but there are some facts that we do have answers to. And I would like to share with you a former judge. His name is Judge Carlos Moore. And I want you to hear his point of view, his point of view and the facts that he's discussing about this case, because, you know, I can't even imagine what the mother is going through. I just can't. We can't imagine what the mother is going through. But we can say that there's definitely something not right about what has taken place. But before we hear from Carlos, let me just show this video about the protesters that are coming together collectively as it relates to Nolan Wells. Stay tuned.
To WLX News at 10, I'm Mackenzie Martin. As the investigation continues into the disappearance and death of 18-year-old Nolan Wells, a peaceful protest this evening calls for more transparency. Photojournalist Patrick Wright takes us to the protest in Ocean Springs.
The goal of today's protest, I feel like, would be just to say his name.
Yes, sir, Nolan Wells.
For me, this means a whole lot because I have my kids in this community too.
Hey, Nolan Wells.
I'm a mom, I have 2 sons, so it hit home for me.
Nolan Wells could have easily been my grandson.
Yes, sir, Nolan.
I feel like today's testament is that we want answers. It's not about vengeance. It's not about accusations. It's about the truth, and it's about transparency.
We're going to stand behind the family, and that's why we're out here.
No peace!
A lot of times, these stories go unnoticed.
Because Nolan Wells is not the only one. There has been a long, historic string of young black men losing their life under very suspicious circumstances.
I am the family of Emmett Till. And my family is here in support of what's going on because this young man should not be dead.
No justice! No peace!
So I know him personally as a kid before he went out to college. It's hard in this generation to find kids that still say yes sir, no sir.
Nolan Wells!
And when he came to me and wanted to work, he said, you know, my mom and dad told me I gotta get my own money. And I said, but when you go out to college, I want you to make good choices and decisions and set you up for a lifetime. And he said, yes sir. That says a lot about his home life. It says a lot about his parents, and it says a lot about him. The things that he did while he was here on earth, it left a statement in a place in a lot of people's heart. Life is precious, no matter what color you are.
Opinion, that's a fact.
We just need to get to the facts of what really happened. That's really what it's about, the facts. It's not about the color of the skin, it's about sticking to the facts of whatever it is. And if it's something that happened as a mistake, then just let's speak about it. Let's talk about it. That's it. I'd just like to say to him and his soul, man, rest in peace. And we always love you, man. And you did everything you could while you was here. And you did a great job. That's it.
So there we have that of people coming together because they want to have answers. And since Nolan's tragedy, there have been at least 3 more similar tragedies of Black boys swimming and being unalived. So this video we're going to show you is from a former judge. His name is Judge Carlos Moore, and he's going to give his insight of what he knows about the case. Stay tuned.
Are handling the case from the inside.
It's time out for playing games. It's time to know the truth from someone well versed in it that has actual experience. I've worn the robe, the black robe, and I've presided over these trials or preliminary hearings, arraignments, and initial appearances. Let's get started. So what do we know? We know after watching the parents' interview and reviewing tons of footage from social media, recounting interviews and statements of alleged witnesses that were on Horn Island, we know that Nolan Wells went to spend the night on July the 3rd with his so-called friends. And he went with those so-called friends to Horn Island on a boat on July the 4th. We know that out of the 4 people on that boat, 1 did not return home. That 1 person was Nolan Wells. The other 3 returned home as normal and said nothing to any member of law enforcement or to the Coast Guard until at least 11 p.m. at night on July the 4th. We know that at least 1 of the so-called friends was found with the phone of Nolan Wells. And we know this based on the testimony of the parents, specifically the mother, who tracked the phone and was led to the home of one of the young men where she retrieved the phone. We also know that based on the mother's testimony that there were no Snapchats from the day, which was very odd for her son. We also know that text messages were deleted. We know that when she was tracking the phone, Life 360 said the phone was one place and Snapchat said it was another place. We know that the boy that had the phone did not voluntarily turn it over or call first. He had to be found through their own investigation. We know that based on witnesses' account, the so-called friends were seen on July the 5th, that Sunday, having breakfast together like nothing had happened. They were not out there searching for their so-called friend. We know that the so-called friends deleted their social media, deactivated their accounts, and scrubbed it clean if the allegations are correct. We know that the young man that had the car at his house did not willingly turn over the keys. At first he said that he did not have the keys. He didn't know where they were. Then he, after being pressed by the father, he finally turned over the keys. This is all very suspicious activity. We know that based on an audio recording and some video that Nolan Wells can be heard saying, "Give me my freaking keys." Excuse me, "Give me my freaking phone." And there's been two different versions. Some say he said, "Give me my freaking phone," or some say he said, "Give me my ML phone." Regardless, he was asking or demanding his phone. Someone had his phone who did not have permission to have his phone. So the first thing I see, the simplest thing I see, is who had his phone and why? And was that theft of the phone? Sometimes we look at the largest case, we try to get to murder, but the person that took his phone committed a crime right there. There are witnesses to who took that phone. If an affidavit is signed, an arrest warrant could be signed by a judge in Mississippi to go after that person that had that phone unlawfully. We know, based on his own words, Nolan Wells' words while he was alive, he did not give whoever had that phone permission to have that phone. So was that theft? I think if an affidavit is signed, if it was presented to me when I was a judge, I would have signed an arrest warrant for the person for theft of that phone, based on what I've heard. It'd have to be an affidavit format, but if it was presented to me in affidavit format from law enforcement, I would sign the arrest warrant for, at least at this point, theft of the man's phone. We know who had it. We know who didn't report it to the family. The family had to go find it, and we know that Nolan Wells said give it back to him, and evidently it was not given back to him. Why was that? All of the other things I've stated, you piece it together. Is there enough right now for arrest warrants for murder? That is a good question. I do know at this point there should have been search warrants signed by a judge. Evidence should have been presented to a judge by now. We are nearly 7 days after July the 4th, when he was first reported missing. There should have been evidence submitted by Jackson County law enforcement agents, the sheriff's department specifically, presented to a judge so that search warrants could be signed by the judge, and there needs to be, or should have been, someone questioning the young men, the three so-called friends, and others, and the social media accounts need to be searched by now, or at least a search warrant should have been issued for the appropriate entities to give the law enforcement access to the social media information. That should have been done by now. I'm not telling you what I imagine. I'm telling you what the process usually is when you're trying to do a thorough investigation. And based on what's revealed from a thorough investigation, I do believe once the evidence is secured, it's going to lead, and it should lead, to the arrest of one or more individuals for the murder of Nolan Wells. All of the actions are very suspicious, and right now they lead one to believe that one or more persons could have been involved with the death of Nolan Wells. Right now we have a lot of unsworn testimony, but once that is put into affidavit format and there is corroborating evidence through social media, computers, or otherwise, I believe that at that point there will be enough evidence for a judge to sign an arrest warrant. I think critical evidence that's missing right now are the results of the autopsy, the state's autopsy and the independent autopsy. That's going to be critical information. And that alone, or that in connection with what's already known, may be enough to lead to an arrest or arrest. We do know at this point, low-hanging fruit. There should be an investigation about the underage drinking, who provided the alcohol. Those individuals could be immediately arrested based on if there was any sworn testimony presented to a judge. I believe a judge could immediately sign an arrest warrant for those who provided the alcohol to underage individuals. There's a lot of people and a lot of potential crimes, some misdemeanors and felonies, that people could be held accountable for. Was there any boating while intoxicated? Who was the captain of the boat? And what did he allow on his boat? If there were any illegal drugs possessed by anyone, drugs are still illegal in Mississippi, at least they were when I was on the bench. Drug possession, drug use, selling of drugs, dealing drugs, trafficking drugs. We've heard testimony, or allegations at least. I don't think anything's been put in affidavit format yet, about rampant drug use among certain individuals. So there are a lot of things that's been alleged. Once put into the correct format, affidavit-wise, it could lead to arrests for several things, including misdemeanors and maybe even felonies. So there's a lot left to do. We are not rushing to judgment, but I just thought I would come on here and tell you that there definitely should be search warrants issued by now, and there could be arrest warrants for certain crimes issued by now. But for the ultimate crime of murder, it is probably wise to wait to see what the autopsy reveals, or the both autopsies reveal, and then parcel that together with all the video footage, all the witness statements taken, any affidavits gathered, and then make a decision, get it all to a judge at that point, for a judge to decide whether or not to sign a warrant for the arrest of one or more individuals. It will be very interesting to see what the autopsy shows. There's also the potential for kidnapping. It needs to be looked at whether or not they can get to murder. Was there kidnapping? Was this young man taken somewhere against his will at any point? Was there abuse of a corpse even after he died? So there's a lot of things that need to be looked at from various law enforcement perspectives. Law enforcement has to do their job and get the information to a judge in the right format before a judge can act. Had I still been on the bench, if I wanted to act, I could not act unilaterally. I would have to wait till law enforcement brought me the evidence in the right format before I could sign an arrest warrant, before I could sign a search warrant. And so that's how the process works. That's how the process works. And so I am happy to be a retired judge. I'm always going to shoot it to you straight with no chaser. Straight with no chaser. I will tell you the God honest truth. I can tell you this one thing. I may have been born at night, but I was not born last night. And one thing about it, you cannot fool the informed. I've been on the inside. I know the process. And we will not sit quietly and allow this to be swept under the rug. I will call your hand. I will call your hand. You are not going to play these people for a fool. You are not going to play these people for a fool. We know the process. We know what you should be doing. And by God, I plan to make sure you do it. Or we're going to call you out each and every time. There is a process. What I do know is, had the roles been reversed, by now, there would likely have been already arrests made. It wouldn't have taken all 6 days, 7 days, or whatever amount of days it's going to take. Had the roles been reversed, justice, the wheels of justice spin quickly. Somebody would have been arrested for something by now. But since the roles are what they are, we are expected to be patient, and they're going to cross every T and they're going to dot every I in the investigation before they make a move because of the people that are potentially involved. And that's the way the criminal justice system works, unfortunately. If you have access to power or money, in some instances, if you're the right color or the right hue, you will get the benefit of the doubt. And regardless of all of that, based on what I've heard, not in affidavits I've seen, if the affidavits come to support what I've heard, I do believe, especially with the autopsy, once that is in, and then if we look at the body to see if there were any bruises or anything else, it should lead to the arrest of one or more individuals for murder, for accessory to murder, for conspiracy to commit murder, aggravated assault, kidnapping, and a list of other possible things. But right now, I could say that based on that video evidence of him demanding his phone back, someone could immediately be arrested for theft, wrongful conversion of his property. And once you make that first arrest, you start putting pressure on people. It becomes very serious at that point. No one wants their loved ones sitting behind bars, even jail bars, definitely not prison bars. So it becomes very serious at that point. And there are persons of interest that should have been interviewed by now, should have been questioned, picked up, and taken to the station, even if they didn't voluntarily go. There are certain people that should be classified as suspects by now. They should not just be persons of interest. They should be actual suspects. I do not agree with the sheriff saying right now foul play is not suspected. He should have said right now it is too early to tell one way or the other if he was going to say anything and try to be
neutral,
fair and impartial. Because all of this suspicious stuff, the suspicion and the actions of the individuals themselves lead you to believe that something is awry. And the stories are not adding up. The stories are not adding up. So if you believed that he stayed with a young lady, why were you calling the Coast Guard at 11 p.m. at night on July the 4th? And why did the Coast Guard somehow forget that and then remember it? And it's just very strange. And why would you lawyer up before there is even a body found? If my best friend died by drowning accidentally, the last thing I'm going to be doing is hiring a lawyer. I'm going to be too busy grieving my friend's accidental death. And I would not, in my wildest imagination, ever think that anyone would suspect me of a crime. Accidents happen all of the time. All of the time. And one thing about it, if I had been there when he drowned, I would probably been so exhausted from trying to save him that I wouldn't have time to think about hiring a lawyer, or time for my parents to think about hiring a lawyer. And if I am recalling things correctly, I do believe that one of those young people's parents went out to the island. Now, this is a bunch of young folks. I believe one of the mothers got on Facebook and said she went to the island at some point. Why was she there? What was she doing? She was not in their age group. I don't know too many parents that go to a teenage gathering or a young person's gathering. What was she doing? I'm curious to know. I'm not even on the bench anymore, but I'm very curious to know what she was out there doing and who she may have been coaching, or what she may have been an accessory to. It's very odd that she was out there, because I'm sure she was not on the guest list. When I tell you I'm tired, it's because I am. It's time for us to have the knowledge. I got my law degree in 2002. So you're looking at somebody that has nearly a quarter of a century of experience in the legal realm. I spent 6.5 years on the bench. I am not going to mislead you, because too many of us have gone along to get along for too long. I have to meet my makers face in peace. I have to look myself in the mirror. I'm not going to betray you. Enough is enough is enough. I know no one wants to see their loved one go to prison or be held accountable. But if the shoe fits, you might as well get ready to wear it. No one is above the law. And if you can't do your job because you're friends with certain people, you need to recuse yourself. Recuse yourself and let somebody that can do their job correctly do it. I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone may have about the process or anything I just said. There is a criminal justice process, and I know how things should go, And when they don't go as they should, you have to ask yourself why.
So we just heard from Judge Carlos Moore, former judge, and he is someone who I've been acquainted with and knowing for many, many years. And I must say that I trust his words. Some of the things that he stated that some of us may not have been aware of previously was of how the phone got back to the mainland, and he didn't. The keys got back, and he didn't. And they didn't willingly contact the parents to let them know they had the possession of the keys or his phone until they were contacted. And then they weren't really willing to even give it up even after they were contacted. Why?
Well, he definitely hit it on the head about if the roles were reversed, it would be 3 black boys in jail.
You know it.
That same night that somebody went missing. If I'm sorry, I mean, people don't want to make it
We
about
ain't sorry.
racism.
It's the truth.
No, I'm just saying, you know, they always want to say it's not about race, but let's be real, this is what it is. I just was watching a video earlier where it was another black boy. I don't know what state they were in, but it was a white family on kayaks or something, and the black boy was stranded out in the water, and his friends was making fun of him, and so they went and got him and brought him back to land.
The couple did.
The couple
with their
did.
children.
Yeah, it was a whole family. It wasn't just, it was
Yes.
it was the mother, the father, and she had 2 boys with her.
Yes.
And the 2 boys was saying, I would never do that to somebody, because the boy kept saying, I can't swim, I can't swim. And they're like, well, you got a life jacket on, you got to laughing at them.
Yeah, but the life jacket was not working.
Yeah, but even if you have a life jacket on, if you cannot, swimming in a pool, swimming at your local pool is different than swimming in the lake, different than swimming in the ocean. It is not the same type of beast. So even if you can swim, I know people that can swim, and they said they went out in the ocean and they almost did not make it.
Yeah.
And they are swimmers. Like
Yeah.
fish. So, you know, it's just unfortunate that we live in a society where this is something that's common, and is, you know, people may say, oh, this is an uptick. No, I feel as though we have this conversation all the time. It's just being documented now. We don't know how many cases have went on like this. So for me, I did see a video earlier about, it was a Caucasian mom, and she says she's teaching her white children that you use your white privilege to step in and intervene and make sure your black friends make it home.
That's
And that's something that I think is very, very important.
That's so true. That's so true. Thank y'all so much for joining. I know this is a very sensitive subject. I am literally in tears. I've been in tears. Every time I hear a devastation, a tragedy of something unfortunate like this happening, you got to think to yourself, by the grace of God, there go I. Every one of us that are viewing this video, it could be one of our family members. It could be one of us. Don't ever think that you're untouchable, because reality, it will wake you up.
And it definitely, I feel as though that, as I can speak as a northerner, right, a East Coast type of person, we didn't think racism was that, you know, not to say that East Coast we don't experience racism, but it's just, it's eye-opening, because down south, that's
common.
That's the norm. It was a couple people that's from the high school that he went to, and it was like, it's very racist out here. Like this, I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
You know. So, but for someone, I didn't go to a school that I felt any type of. I mean, my majority of my teachers
taught
were black.
racism. My mother didn't talk about racism. She treated everybody the same. We have Caucasians in our family, Irish in our family, Spanish, Latino in our family. We are multicultural. And when I tell you that, I honestly mean that. I didn't learn about racism until I was like in my late 20s. I would hear about it. But when we were growing up, It was not even a topic of conversation to talk about Caucasians or Latinos or any other ethnic group, because we were just humans, just trying to live and make it and love and just do the right thing in life. So to now realize that we have children that we now have to have that conversation with, and that's another topic that I would like to channel in on. And Barbara, his name is Judge. He was a former judge. He is an attorney also. His name is Judge Carlos Moore, Moore. It is very hard to watch. I tell you, it's very hard to watch, and it's very hard because not just Nolan, but since Nolan has passed, there have been 3 other situations similar to this tragedy, uh, unfortunately. But one of the things I do want to ask this question, and Shakira, I would love to know your answer to this. And those of you who are parents and have children, and or you have nieces and nephews, and when is the right time to have that hardcore conversation with your children? I mean, it's like, do you wait until they're 5 years old, 6 years old? Do you wait until they're 15? When is the right time? Or do you wait because psychologically you want to make sure that your children can mentally handle it? Because just because a person is 10 years old don't mean that they mentally can handle a conversation such as that. So when is the right time to have that hardcore conversation? And what I mean by a hardcore conversation, I mean discussing the friends that you choose, the type of friends that you choose in your life. Should every group of friends have a safety plan before traveling together? What
But
should a
my
young
kids ain't going nowhere with nobody, so there's that. Because I didn't go nowhere with nobody, and that's just keeping it real. So
Yeah.
we're gonna stop that right there. I didn't go. It was no sleepovers. I can count
The
on two
only one
hands.
family that I did allow you to sleep over that I was comfortable with, and that was Joyce and Harry.
Yeah, but I'm talking about besides. I'm talking about when I was younger and all that. There was none of that. Brianna's my best friend. I'm talking about just random. Some people just let their kids just go anywhere. We wasn't. It was no.
No,
We're not
I
doing
didn't
that.
allow that at all because
I'm going.
my mother didn't, she didn't do that with us. We weren't allowed. I only had like one friend that I can actually go to their house and hang with. I had a lot of cousins, so it wasn't a lonely moment because I can always go to my cousin's house. But we had parents that didn't go for that at all.
Yeah, and I think it plays into you have to know your kids' maturity level. I think definitely before before middle school, 7th, 8th grade, then you're gonna be going to high school and all of that. But I think you can gauge your child to see what they can handle and what they can't handle. I need to know your friends, and I don't need to just know your friends. I need to know your friends' parents, and I need to
Yeah,
know their parents if they still alive. I need to know everybody that's gonna be. Of course, you can't save your babies from everything, right? It's not realistic, but the more safeguards you can put into place and the more realistic conversations that you have with them, because what's her name? Amber Rose, she says she's not going to tell her kids that you have to work 10 times harder because you're black, because she don't, she's not, when you're in that realm, not to say that they can't be touched, but you have bodyguards. You're not, you know what I'm saying? You're not just, but for our kids, we have to have those conversations. We have
sure.
to let you know, like I knew when I did get to the age of going out, we come together, we leave together. And I was
Yeah,
always the driver. 9 times out of 10, I was always the driver because I didn't want nobody being responsible for taking me home. I want to make sure that I can I'm gonna make sure whoever in my car get home, but I want to make sure that I wasn't put in predicament because somebody else want to stay longer or whatever. I'm going, we all leaving and we all going home. If you want to come back in your own car, that's
that's something
entirely up to
different.
you.
Yeah,
But as long as you're with me, we come together, we leave together. Same thing about girls going to the bath. We all going to the bathroom. Somebody got to go to the bathroom. So you left something in the car, we all got to go back to the car.
yes,
And I don't think people have those type of conversations. I think people be too much into their phones. They're not
yeah,
aware of the surroundings, and it's not just this is kind of going off topic and on a little rant, but you really need to let kids know how crazy things could get in a blink of an eye. Um, if you can't swim, even if you can't swim, I don't want you going on no boat. You
No.
tell them
Oh
you see
no,
them when
that's
they get
out.
when you get back. But if my child cannot swim, you ain't
Yeah,
going. That's a definite no. I don't care how much life jackets and all. It's just positively a no for me.
yeah,
But it's just certain safeguards as parents that but nobody could predict that this was gonna happen.
no.
You
Oh
know,
my goodness, no.
but yeah. So, but you want to do this. These are things that you can use as lessons to sit down and talk to your kids and our counterparts, white folks, white people. You need to talk to your kids and make
Yeah,
sure you let them know that you have a privilege that your black friends do not have. When they go into the store, they're getting profiled. When you go into the store, they're not even looking to see what's in your bag. They're not walking around following you and thinking about you. So if you can intervene, you can be saving somebody's life. So
absolutely. I totally
that's it.
100% agree with you on that. And I think as parents, we need to come together to communicate with our children, because one of the things we all must realize is that our children one day is not going to have us around, and they need to know what to do, what safeguards to take, what should I do. And I don't want to make this out of a race thing, right? Because for me, we know that racism exists. It's just no denying that. Racism is something that is a part of America, and it has gotten stronger within the last few months, in my opinion. It's gotten more aggressive than it has been. But I think that you have to handle people and deal with people individually, because everyone is not bad. You got racism in every, you know, ethnic group. Racism in black and white and Latino, there's racism all over. But I think we need to treat each other accordingly. But if us being parents and being conscious of what we need to teach our children, we need to be having those conversations instead of trying to protect them. You need to be teaching them, so when they do come across someone who's racist, it's not such a shock. Because I think coming from the parents, it would be much better than coming from someone for the first time. Because I know for me, when I first just encountered just different cultures and different people all together, I wish there was that conversation I had with my mother or my father. I wish that conversation I had, because it would have prepared me more. You know what I mean? But because, you don't be prepared, you kind of like don't know really how to handle it. And even if you are prepared and you got all the tools that you need, sometimes it can catch you off course and you really don't really know how to handle it. But we're going to continue to keep up with what's going on with this case, as many other cases that are out there that we need to stay woke on, and make sure that we take each case and each situation that we come across and learn something from it, because we're learning something from this. And I can't even imagine what Nolan's parents are going through. I can't even phantom what they're going through. I can't. And they probably did all the right things, but sometimes things do things do happen. An unanswered question remind us why preparation and communications and looking out for one another matters, is very, very important. While this investigation continues, our thoughts and our prayers remain with the Nolan Xavier Wells family and his loved ones. If this conversation inspired even one family to have an important discussion, or one young person to make a safer choice, then it has served meaningful purpose. Do you have any other comments you want to make as a result of this?
No, that was it. Just look out for each other in every way that you can. If you see something looks funny with a group of young folks, you might have to be that auntie, you know. Um, and that within itself is scary, because you don't want to get yourself hurt. But even if you just, if you know your gut, if you feel something in your gut, that you feel as though that you need to act on, it doesn't hurt to just be safe and sorry.
Yeah, but that's another thing because in our culture they talk about snitching. So you say something, see something, say something,
Yeah, well, that
and
went out the window. Don't know everybody. I won't say everybody
that ain't
snitching,
out the
but
window. That's still something.
that's out the window. People getting lobsters. I seen. Yeah, you one see what? Yeah, Pookie went around. Ain't nobody. That's not really. I won't say that's not a thing, but
But
people is singing like canary birds. It is. Yeah. They seeing
would you
reward
say
money
that's
and
a thing
everything.
of the past, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it's still a thing, but I mean, it's
It's still
not.
a thing because I hear people saying
Yeah,
all the time, "She's a snitch" or "He's a snitch."
yeah,
Like,
no,
listen, if it's something gonna save somebody's life, call it whatever you want.
yeah, exactly.
Call it whatever you want. Because if the shoe was on the other foot, I'm sure that a person would be wanting someone to come forth to say something if they see something. That's for sure. We have a comment from Barbara.
She said,
I'll read because you got noise. Okay. She said, "My girls could not go anywhere growing up. They never had a babysitter. I started talking to them about discernment. Oh, I love that. Yes, discernment or the Holy Spirit or your gut feeling and listen to it and call me when you feel uncomfortable. I still talk to them as adults. People use the words friends too loosely. My friend circle has always been the size of a dot." I love that.
absolutely, yes,
I
you have
love
to
that. I
keep it
agree
that
with you
way.
so much on that. That's a good,
Yeah,
excellent statement.
everybody is not your friend, and that's something that is very loose. They'll
Very
even go so
loose.
far as say it's my best friend, and you know them for 10 minutes. Everybody is
Oh,
not your
yes.
friend. Everybody is, and I've literally had the same best friends for decades.
Yeah,
So for me,
me too.
I know a lot of people, but they don't know me. I mean, not saying it like that, but then, yeah, you
Yeah.
gotta play it safe.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We learning a lot from this situation, and I want to, also say to everyone, maybe have a discussion with your children, especially your teenage kids, of what they feel about this because they're hearing it from their other friends, but coming together with them as parents and having a topic of what do they feel about this and have they ever encountered anything like this, and talk about racism and talk about ways in which you can handle racism and what you should do if you should ever embark on such a situation as that. Before we go, I definitely want to share some things before we go. We did go over an hour. Um, this was definitely one of those situations and subjects that you just can't foresee the timeline. But one of the things I do want to shout out, I want to shout out to Aunt Rosetta, Brian Davis Jr., Brian Davis Sr. I want to shout out to you. I want to shout out to Binky, Arthur Gaskins, and Linda Anderson. Y'all, please get well soon. We're thinking about you here at Mama Said It podcast. We have another comment from my sister from Georgia. Thanks for joining, Sharon. What about using the word associate and explaining the differences? Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, because I use that word quite a bit, associate instead of friends. Now, associate for me is just someone that you embark on in a casual situation. It's not someone that you more or less consider them as friends. You don't confide in them. You don't tell them your deepest secret. So that to me clarify associate and explaining the difference. I think that's a good way of making sure a child understands associate and also who is considered as friend and who's considered as BFF. Because all those have different levels and different meanings, different levels and different meanings. One of the things I want to share with all of you, I wanted to tell you guys because I had a few people who shared with me about them finding things in different stores for 1 penny. And I said, you know what? I have got to share this information with our Mama Said It family. Now, one of the websites I do want you all to go to, and this website is a great website. It tells you the things that are available for 1 cent. It tells you also the states where you can find these things, and people have actually been getting these items off this site. It's called pennycentral.com. Pennycentral.com. Many of you may have watched some of the Facebook videos, YouTube videos, where people went to what is it called? Home Depot, and they were able to find items that were $1, like people, fixing up their kitchen, for an example. One guy found over $5,000 worth of flooring, and he ended up paying like 30 something dollars for it, because it was $1. It was $1. So this is the website I want to share with you all. It's called pennycentral.com. It's called pennycentral.com. And this website is a great website that you can actually get a lot of stuff. Now, let me just break it down to you and tell you a little bit about how this site works real quickly. Now, most of the items that's on this site is coming from Home Depot, and you have to be able to catch these things because they're on certain days, certain states. For an example, let's talk about this. What is this? Cordless pet stick. I don't know what it is. Normally retails for $253. Okay, a pet stick. Oh, vacuum cleaner pep stick. Okay. So what it's telling me here, if you scroll down, it is show me where I can find it for a penny. So you look for your state. Now, in New Jersey, there's one store that has it for 1 penny. But guess what? It doesn't tell you what store. It doesn't tell you what store. Okay. So now, for an example, here it tells you exactly when it was found. Like today is July the 12th. So July the 11th, it was located in Tennessee. Okay. July 10th, it was in Maine. July 10th, again, it was found in Texas. So you go on the website, you browse through it, find out things that are on here that is for 1 cent, and you'll be so surprised. This portable battery inverter, 1 cent, and it is, here it is right here, for an example. Now this here is being shown, and it shows you the states. California is 31 reports of it. Tennessee, 4 reports of it. Okay. New Jersey, let me see, is it New Jersey showing? Now, sometimes you won't see your state. So if you don't see your state, then it means it's not in your state. Now, it's showing that it came up in 5 stores in New Jersey. Okay, and if you scroll down, sometimes it'll tell you exactly what store it was, or the location or the city it was. So, for an example, July the 12th in California, it was in Salinas. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. And July 12th, it was in St. Louis, Missouri. So that narrows it down. But then you have to figure out how many stores is in St. Louis, Missouri. So, but it's worth it, because let me tell you, a lot of bargain hunters, they search these things. They search for this. They really honestly do. They search for it. And let me just also tell you that one other thing I also wanted to let everyone know, if you don't know, Staples is having a sale. Staples is having a sale on notebooks, notepads, and notepads. For an example, let me just type this in here real quick. The notebooks, and I go and load up. If you have kids that are in school or going to school in September, or if you were in the South, you're going to school next month. And I wonder why I'm getting, okay, here it is. Okay, let me search this out, because it got frozen at first. Down south, they're normally going to school in August. It's taking a while to load, maybe because I got so many windows open I have a lot of windows that are open, so that's probably why it's acting a little slow. But Staples have notebooks, notepads, 25 cents, 50 cents. So just to let you know, you can go and load up. They have so many other things, pens, papers, things that you can catch a great sale at Staples. Now, there's a lot of teachers out there, a lot of people that are teachers and that teaches, and sometimes you're buying supplies. So this is a way for you to be able to go out and supplies for your students. Things, okay, so much. Now, I do want to remind everyone before we go, to please make sure that you are applying for your grants. I suggest applying for a grant every day, at least one, 10 a month if you can, because if you only do one, that's not enough, right? One is definitely not enough. Okay, so this is galaxyofstars.org, galaxyofstars.org, that you can go to and you can fill out a grant. Now, let me just say this. Grants, you don't have to be at any particular age, whether you're a senior citizen, 60 years old, 80 years old, 90 years old. If you got a computer, you can get on your phone, you're able to fill this out, and it's free. This is not charging you anything, okay? But you can win $4,250, which is a nice piece of change. I mean, what can you do? Imagine what you could do right now with $4,250 right now, right? And the deadline, this is every month. The deadline for this month is July 31st. July 31st is the deadline. So make sure you go on there today. Go on there today and fill it out. Galaxyofstars.org, and fill out that information to participate and get yourself a grant. Good luck to everybody. Shakira, do you have any last comments, last words that you would like to? Yes, I definitely will. I'm going to actually share a lot more information. I'm going to share a lot more information, Barbara. I definitely put it in associates. Barbara said associates don't step a foot in my house. Okay, I get that right. Yes, I can understand that. Now, Sharon made a comment. She says, a simple way to think about it, an associate knows about your life. A friend knows about your heart. Oh, I like the way you put that. And generally cares about your well-being. Not every associate becomes a friend, and that's okay. Associates can still be positive, respectful relationships. True friendship, however, is marked by consistency, trust, honesty, and showing up when matters most. I love that, Sharon. Thank you so much for sharing it. That's good. That's really good. Barbara said, can you put those links in the Facebook comments? Yes, absolutely, Barbara. Absolutely. Yes. And I hope somebody can catch something for a penny. That would be fantastic. I tell a person, if you find something for a penny, get a lot of it and resell it, okay? Or give it away. Give it to a nonprofit organization, which would be phenomenal if you can give it away. But selling it is even better. Selling it is even better. Shakira, do you have any last comments before we sign off?
No. Everybody just have a good week.
Everybody have a good week. Yes, I totally agree. Everyone, please have a good week. Do something different today that you didn't do yesterday to change your tomorrow. And as we sign off, we're wishing you all a great week coming up, and may a blessing just overflow your life. We'll see you same time next week on another episode of Mama Said It. Thank you so much for joining us. Mama said it.
clear as day. Storms will come, they won't stay. Pray it out, let it go. Don't let grudges steal your road glow. Hold your head up, chase the sun. This race ain't over, it's just begun. Mama said there'll be days like this. Keep your faith. Every fall, every shadow on the wall, just a chapter, not the end. Keep on running, don't pretend. Lift your heart, with every step, the world will shake. Mama said there'll be days like this. Keep your faith, don't be remiss. The blessings waiting in the air. God's with you, always there. Mama said there'll be days like this. Keep your faith, don't you break.